that's how high performance is. That's you don't just dilly-dally, through life. You do things with intention. You're intentional about your excellence. It's a 100% non-negotiable that we discuss good practice, discuss poor practice or practice that could be better, and hold them to that high standard.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Optimised Practice podcast. I'm your host today, Blake Sargent, and today I'm joined by the amazing Emma Price, owner director of Supafoot. And today we're going to talk about how to build a high performing and happy team. And Emma is the queen of culture that manages to balance both high performance but also a really happy and amazing place for people to work. So thank you for joining us, Emma. Why don't we get started with just asking you outright, what's the secret? What's your process?
I think the most important thing to remember about any sort of team dynamic is what's really important is that everyone feels safe, seen and needed. We talk about that a lot in the Hive. And around that, as human beings, I think boundaries and structure are the basic key sort of principles behind that. We all know that when we don't have a structure to our day, or we don't have a structure, or children don't have structure to their school life, things can go wrong very quickly. So I think the most important thing is to make sure you've got a really strongly embedded structure into your weeks, and therefore everybody knows where they are and what they're supposed to be doing. And that's sort of the bedrock, I would say. So that's, I think, the most important place to start.
What is your structure? What is your meeting cadence? How do you formalize that?
We have planned our year in advance with our certainty and clarity poster. It is already on the wall, ready for next year, and that's accessed by everybody in the staff room, so they can all see that. And it's also put into Clinico, so they can see that as well. So that's the first thing. So it's visible. And it's planned. What I've learned actually is that our meetings are always after lunch, because if you do meetings at any other time, or they have to be at the beginning of a session. That's the first lesson that I've learned over the last sort of 18 months is if you do this at the end of a patient session, inevitably someone runs over, or they just need to finish that letter. That's great, and I want them to do their work properly. But at the same time, then meetings run late, and meetings tend to get put to the side. When actually, for me, meetings are one of the most important things that we do as a group. So I've started to put them either at the beginning of the day or at the beginning of the afternoon session at 2:00 after lunch. So that's the first thing. So everyone's got access to the calendar, and the time of the meetings it makes it easy for everyone to attend on time. Second of all, the cadence is a monthly 45-minute team meeting, and every quarter we extend that to an hour, so we can do a bit of a wrap up and look at our Q1, Q2 sort of targets and how we've achieved those. So it's a 45 minutes every month with an hour at the end of the quarter. So that's once a month. Then we have a week. In my practice, I am insisting at the moment on weekly practitioner meetings. I've learned that they massively appreciate those, because the practitioners getting together and talking about what problems they have or anything they're unsure of. For me, every fortnight, often things will resolve themselves, but if they resolve themselves and you've just learned yourself, then that's not sharing good practice as much as I would want us to. So I understand why some practices don't have time for a weekly meeting, or you don't want that, but actually I'm insisting on a 45-minute, half an hour bare minimum, non-negotiable practitioner meeting where we sit down, we talk about what we've done well and what we're struggling with. And even, like I say, even if it resolves on its own and we don't need to input, we're still learning. So that's super important. And there's no negotiation there for that one. That's actually one of the most important things to me at the moment, the practitioner meeting, mainly because I've got a new grad, but also there's a lot of ongoing training, and I think it's important that, for example, one of my pods has just done his ultrasound course, and he's learning loads about anatomy all the time. So how cool is that he can go, hey, I've learned this about this structure, and we're all gaining from his learning. And also it's a huge investment. We've sort of split it down the middle. I've invested a bit, he has as well, but How cool is that we can share that? So that's that. So weekly practitioner meetings. We then have a monthly leadership meeting. So myself, my practice manager, and my clinical lead meet once a month for half an hour. And then we have non-negotiable 45-minute one-to-ones every month with every member of the team. The one-to-ones are again very structured. They have to fill in their half, and I sort of read that the day before, ideally, so I can see what they want to talk about, and is there anything I can preempt or prep or help with if they're asking for help. They fill in their wheel of life to start with, so we just get a general gauge, and they date them and they keep them in their lockers. And then the 6-month review that I do with everybody, we look at those and we see if there's any trends, because it is quite easy to sort of disregard a blip as it's just this month, but actually if that has been a problem 3 or 4 times this year, maybe that's something we need to drill down on. So they do their wheel of life, they write down their sad, mad, glad, scared, so we can get a check-in on how they're feeling. We talk about what their wins are, a big focus on wins, the stone in their shoe, so what's just pissing them off or just niggling away, and then anything else they want to talk about. And that can be anything. And a lot of the topics that they do bring up aren't always worky. Some are, sometimes it is. Some of it, is just personal stuff that's would be nice if they could sort of resolve it in their brain so they can feel better at work, and it all is important. So it's very structured in that sense. And then, like I said, we do a 6-monthly sort of a biannual review, because I don't really want to wait. We do a check-in every month, but I don't really want to wait an entire year. If I need to address something, I've got that opportunity to spend a bit more time and lock it in. And actually checking in on targets and that kind of stuff. If they've got a target to earn a certain amount in a year, we can spend more time looking at that at a 6-month point and go, you're on track or you're not on track. And it gives them an opportunity then to sort of rectify whatever it is they need to. Although we have the monthly ones, 45 minutes goes very quickly, especially if people have got stuff going on, which they do because they're people. Yeah. So also what I've added recently is we look at their net promoter score, which is really important. I drill down on their rebook rate and their new patient rebook rate. They're the 3 that I really look at, because at the moment that's what we're focusing on, new patient numbers, and we're looking at that. So that's going to be moving forwards, really focusing on new patient rebook and rebook. And it's kind of cool because you can do what you like really in terms of data. How many patients have they seen? Well, does that matter? It's sort of average patient spend is highly important. But I've got a really great team now that actually checks in most weeks on their own, because they know their numbers, they know what they're aiming for. So I don't have to really focus on the metrics, but if I see something in their metrics that's dipping down or trending down a bit, we'll bring it up. The new patient rebook, I stole this from Troy, but I've really challenged them to focus on that. And what they've started to do is say, I saw 20 new patients, this many have rebooked. That one I didn't ask to rebook. That one I'm waiting to hear back. This one, and the other 3, actually, I don't know. I need to find out, which is just good. It means that we're just keeping a check. I'm not going to hold them to account that badly, but at the same time, it's good for them to. Sometimes they really question, like, well, why haven't they come back? And that's kind of cool. The net promoter score, I mean, we're very lucky. Well, I don't think we're lucky at all. We work really hard for it, but we're currently at 98, which is incredible. And when I look at the net promoter score results, everybody's getting feedback. And we have about a 45% feedback rate from our new patients, which is really high. So not only are they giving us great feedback, but they want to give us great feedback, and they're actually writing stuff. They're not just clicking a number, they're actually feeding back, which is fascinating. I find it really interesting, but it's great. It's fabulous. They love that bit. They love that bit. But the cool thing is when it's an 8 or a 7, they'll clock it, and they'll very quickly in our discussion say, oh, that might have been this, or they're sort of starting to self-coach and analyze why it's a 7, and why that was a 10, and why that was a 7, and what could they do differently. So that's where we are. Well, I mean, money, job satisfaction, and they get remunerated really, really well. They know, we use the target calculator that you've provided, and they know what they're hitting and how they know what they need to hit to get the salary they want, which then gives them financial freedom and the life they want to live. Essentially, big picture, that's what we're aiming for. So by making them analytical and drilling down, they can achieve it themselves. I'm just there to guide. I don't actually ask much of them. This is a structure I've set out for them to fill it in and work out for themselves what it is they need to do. I mean, they could just be speaking into a, teddy bear or something, because they'll just talk at me, give me all the answers. I think I need to go and do this, and I go, sweet, off you go then. It's not that basic, but so what's in it for them is whatever they want, actually. So for example, if they don't really care about money, which some people aren't that motivated by it, I mean, everyone is really, but if actually it's time that they want, but they need to maintain their salary, then they can look at their patient numbers, they can look at their patient average value and say, well, if I get that up, I can maintain my salary and go down a day. Then they're getting what they want. So they know with this system that they've got the flexibility and the freedom and the autonomy to create the working life they want.
So you put them basically totally in control of what they earn, and give them responsibility for their own outcomes.
Essentially, yeah.
The For those who aren't aware, the model that Emma's talking about is something that Troy built 20 years ago, called the Hive's hybrid model, which basically took all the benefits of being an employee, all the benefits being an associate, and put them together, which means you get all the securities of being an employee, where you get to work in one place as well. You don't have to worry about the IR35 tax issues. You get to be part of a committed team. You get paid holidays, paid sick day, all that sort of stuff. But also, like the associate model, the more you build, the more you earn. So the two are then married, which is why people are so committed to their high performance, because the better they do, and the only way they get better is with feedback. So Emma provides that feedback of going, okay, let's look at your numbers. Okay, cool. So where are you going really well, and where have you got some gaps? And over time, they get better and better and better at doing what they do, which ultimately means they end up billing more, which ultimately means they end up earning a lot more and more as well. So it's one of the keys to high performance. So aside to that side, that part of the process, you're also amazing at creating fun in your practice, and really having a culture not only of high performance but happiness. What are some of the things that you do around that?
I don't expect anybody to do anything that I'm not willing to do, and they know that. So it's very much us sort of culture, whereby if there's hard work to be done, I'm right in there with them. So they know that I'm gonna. Hopefully they know that I'm leading them, from the front. I'm going first. If there's a problem, like let's sort this out. And I'm sort of very much sort of off giving them an environment whereby everybody is valued, and to be, for me, to create a fun work environment, you need to not take things too seriously, and you just need to try and see the positive side in everything you do. So this week, for example, it's a little bit quieter. in the diary. I think it's people just cancelling pre-Christmas or whatever. So we've got some gaps. So we're doing some crafts. We've got a little craft table set up, and we've got some, those plastic see-through things that you hang on a window and you paint them, and they're what are they called? I can't think now. It's completely gone out of my
I
brain.
wouldn't know.
Oh, Blake, you need this in your life. So basically, we've got a little.
Well, the last time you told me you did like giant knitting with like massive ropes. That's there we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And you do these events quarterly anyway, right?
Yeah.
So although you said you do a team meeting every quarter, you also do an away day every quarter.
No, we do a big away day once a year. Sorry.
Okay, the away.
That's a big fun day out once a year. The quarterly meetings are they've got a bit of fun in them. But so for little I think it's the little things that matter. So like I said, we've got these little reflector things anyway that you hang in the window and they look pretty. It's Christmassy. So we've got this little craft table set up, and genuinely people have just been sat there for 10 minutes in a break or just like painting, and it gets a bit frantic. It gets a bit anxious. There's a lot of money issues going on. There's like people are tired, people have got colds, it's Christmas, some people hate Christmas, some people love it, it's you don't want to be. So anyway, we've got this little craft table set up where people are just sitting and painting. I know that sounds really childish and silly, but actually everyone's joined in. Obviously we've got a competition going now, obviously, but just sitting there for 10 minutes before work doing a little bit of painting. I noticed the mood was a bit frantic a couple of weeks ago. Everyone was getting a bit snicky, and I was like, right, okay, so we've got, Kaylee, my practice manager, is our like emotional barometer, and she mentioned this to me. I was like, right, I need to do something a bit more. We need to just lighten this up a bit. So we've got a little craft table, and we're painting, for example. And I know that sounds very happy clappy and silly, but these are amazing human beings who can get quite stressed. So we provide little things like that. We do Good Egg Awards every month as part of the team meeting. So we write down when someone does something nice for someone else. I do want to change that up a little bit. I'm thinking about how we can link this to the values of the business a little bit more clearly, because we're going to do a bit of a value rebrand. We've moved practice premises recently, so I want to do a refresh of our values and make sure everyone's on board with that. So we're going to change that up slightly. But by the by, everyone writes down, when someone does something nice for you, or someone goes above and beyond, or someone does something awesome, we call it super. Then they put it write it down on a little tab of paper, and they put it in the Good Egg Awards box. And every month I read them all out. And then the person who gets the most Good Egg Awards gets to spin the Wheel of Fortune, and they win a prize. And the prizes are things like a bouquet of flowers, or an afternoon tea for two, or cinema tickets. And it's, financially, some of these things are, a real trifle, but actually it motivates everybody massively. I think it's really important. We regularly try and meet up outside of work to just have a beer and a curry or something as well. That's sort of just a little social thing, but we genuinely want to hang out with each other. So there are the little things that we do. And
now you're in a 6-room super clinic. What's the size of your team now? So
I've got 4 podiatrists plus me, so technically 5, plus 4 admin. The admin are 1.7 full-time equivalent. So the 3 admin reception team are 1 full-time equivalent, and then Kaylee is nearly full-time as a practice manager for me, and she's been with me for 7 years. She's amazing. She's my sidekick. But it's very much, I think the other thing I would say is it's very much an open channel of communication at all times. So although I don't want people bugging me in the corridors, and taking my time all the time and pulling me in lots of different directions, because you can't function like that. The point is, if somebody says, can I have half an hour of your time, or can I have 10 minutes of your time after work, or can I set a meeting, I need to talk about something, that they will do that. Or I'll say, put it in the meeting agenda. yes, we will discuss that. So there's very much open channel, and if they can't help, if I'm not there or they don't want help from me, they're seeking help from each other as well, which is really cool.
If somebody's listening and they've got a practice and they don't really know where to start, they've got some team members, but like they don't really, or maybe it's just them and one other, there's still a culture there, right? Or just a couple of others.
For
What
sure.
would you say, what would be the best place for people to start? What are some of the non-negotiables?
Non-negotiables, absolutely, is structured meeting time. I wouldn't give that up. Even if we had people saying, I'll pay you £1,000 for that appointment. Maybe I would. I don't know.
All right, we'll move it a bit, but
no, of course. It's 100%. That would be the one thing. You have to put time in the diary to get to know each other and to spend time understanding each other.
I think sometimes people have a negative connotation to the word meeting just because they've worked in jobs in the past where meetings were a negative thing, and I often reframe meetings just as communication. It's a time for communication to go, okay, well, we're running a business all together, surely we should hang out for an hour every month just to talk about it, right? To communicate and just go, this is the space now that you can communicate. So to recap, then you do a big annual alignment day.
Yes.
You do every quarter, you do something a little bit longer. You do a monthly full team meeting.
Yeah.
45 minutes at least each month.
Yeah.
You do a weekly practitioner team meeting.
Yeah.
You do a monthly leadership team meeting where you pull your lead pod and your practice manager aside with yourself and help and work on like the rocks that need to happen each quarter.
Yeah.
Has that captured all of them? And then the monthly one-to-ones with each team member.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's a lot, actually. It's every week there is a meeting. Because if it's not a one-to-one, it's a team meeting. If it's not a team meeting, it's a practitioner meeting. If it's not a practitioner meeting, it's the leadership meeting. So there's always an official meeting going on, plus the practitioner meetings are quite chatty. There is an agenda, sort of, as in like wins and what do you want to talk about, but it's not as structured as my team meeting or my one-to-ones, for sure. It's very much show and tell, actually, very, very much like that. Which is kind of cool. It's just a nice thing. And so if what I will do also is, by the way, guys, all of these things are CPD creditable, particularly the practitioner meeting. So if we're talking half an hour, so that's 2 hours a month of CPD, which we write. So do mark my words, write an agenda for these things and just get someone to take notes, because then when I got called up by the HCPC this year for my CPD audit, and it was a piece of cake. I could prove regular discussions with colleagues and that kind of stuff. I know you need to do a mix of CPD, but they really liked that, and it was really helpful for me to prove. I've got hundreds of hours of discussion with colleagues, learning what I learned, what am I reflecting, how are we changing our practice based on our learnings, and that's what it's all about. So actually doing that practice is beneficial for everybody because of the HCPC's requirements, and I think it's how you should behave as a healthcare professional anyway. But that's the other point. It's, you have high standards for this team. We meet because we've got a lot to talk about, because we see loads of people and they're all really complex and we're all really bloody good at our jobs. So, that things are going to go wrong, but, how are we rectifying this, like the amazing professional team that we are? And that's how high performance is. That's you don't just dilly-dally, through life. You actually, you do things with intention. You're intentional about your excellence. And it's 100% non-negotiable that we discuss good practice, discuss poor practice or practice that could be better, and hold them to that high standard. And all you'll get is, the high tide rises all ships, right? That's all you get. You just get people who are getting better and better and more confident, and then they teach someone else and they're feeling amazing. The good egg I got this month was one of my team just saying, thank you for building my confidence in nail surgery so much. I feel like a different podiatrist.
And although, like you say, it seems like it's a lot, it often, the reason you split out these meetings is in the early days, if you're only a team of 2 or 3, every meeting is a team meeting where everyone's together.
Yeah.
But when you've got 9 or 10 people, you don't want to close the practice every single week and do a full team meeting. So the smart thing Emma's done is then gone, okay, let's meet all together once a month. Then we'll just do practitioners together, leadership together, one-to-one. So actually, it's the most time efficient way to still give everybody their time, their opportunity to communicate, their opportunity to work as a team, their opportunity to be a part of the practitioners without actually taking that much time out of their own diaries.
Yeah.
So what's the final piece of advice you'd give? What's your Jerry Springer-esque parting thought?
I think you can't lead a team of people without really caring. And I think that's my underlying thing. You actually really have to care. You can't fake that. So, and they'll know if you don't care. So you need to build a team of people around you actually really want to hang out with, people that you would miss if they were gone. And you actually have to care, truly. And it's a gift. It really is. I feel very honoured to lead these people. They're wonderful.
Emma, thank you so much. So that's all for this episode of the Optimized Practice podcast. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you want help building your practice, please reach out to us at the Hive so we can show you how to build a profitable, stable, and highly respected practice that can ultimately work without your daily input. See you guys in the next episode.